Hey there, this is Amanda from Preparing Hearts at Home, and today I thought I should do an update about our curriculum and homeschool this year. Since my last video, we've had the birth of our sixth little baby about 2 months ago now, and we've definitely had some changes in our homeschool this school year. This is the 2018-2019 school year was my fifth year homeschooling, only really because my oldest, when she was in preschool, I did a way more formal preschool than I do now with my younger kids. So that's why I consider this our fifth year, even though this year we had a third grader, a first grader, and a kindergartner. But we used Heart of Dakota since the very beginning, since preschool with our oldest, and I've loved it. Loved the book choices, loved how everything is laid out for you and planned out for you. So really, I have never done any planning. At the beginning of the year, I know most homeschool moms have their planner and do all their planning for their school year during the summer or whatnot, but I've never done that because I've used Heart of Dakota. But this year, when we added the third child for kindergarten, I just found it that I couldn't keep up, like having a separate guide for each kid, plus I had two younger kids, and then I just had the sixth baby here a couple months ago, but I couldn't keep up, not with the homeschooling and the 3 different guides for the 3 different grades and the little kids and, laundry and cooking and housework. So I sort of had a bit of a crisis just like over Christmas break, like, oh my goodness, what do I do? I don't really know what's out there, is what I was thinking, because since I had used Heart of Dakota for so long, I didn't really do a lot of research about every other curriculum. I knew there was others that were like open and go, such as Sunlight or My Father's World. I knew about them, but I preferred Heart of Dakota over those other curriculums, so I had never really looked into anything else. But it would have been the end of January. I had just been praying about it. Like I had said, I've been struggling this whole school year. Pretty much 2 weeks after we started in September, I was like, oh my goodness, I can't keep up. This is stressing me out. And like I said, by Christmas break, I kind of had lost my joy in homeschooling. It wasn't fun anymore. And my kids didn't really notice anything. But for me, it was super difficult. And I just thought something's got to give here. So I talked to my husband about it, and I was praying about it and talking to other homeschool moms I knew who had, at least 3 or 4 kids that they were trying to homeschool. And everybody kept saying, you need to combine. So, the subjects that you can do together, that's what you need to do. That'll make it so much easier. And I actually, about a year ago, had been looking into the whole combining thing, but I just thought, oh, that's going to make it even more complicated. Like, how do I make sure they're all getting what they need? And so I really wasn't ready for that about a year ago. But this time around in January, I was, and I just felt like the Lord was, I don't know, I just felt a peace to walk away from Heart of Dakota, whereas before I just loved it so much. I thought there's no way I can quit doing that. But then I started doing some research and into other curriculum, that is, and I came across Beautiful Feet books. And so at first, that's what I was going to use. I loved their book choices too, and I liked how they did have some structure. They did have a lesson plan for the history and the geography. You can get different book sets. Because when I first walked away from Heart of Dakota at the end of January, I tried doing, kind of my own thing, because I was gifted a lot of old biographies and books by Edith McCall and the Gerard Publishers and Cornerstones of Freedom, Frontiers of America, just a bunch of older history books from my mom, because my mom was a homeschool mom. She's graduated my youngest brother now, but so she gave me all of those books. So I've had all of those books for years now, and because of using Heart of Dakota, I just really didn't have time to even, get to them. They would be more like extras, like, here, go read this, sort of thing. I never was able to incorporate that into the curriculum just because Heart of Dakota was so full. But when I stepped away from Heart of Dakota in January, I started using those for our history, we just started reading biographies and more living books just by itself with no plan. And at first that was okay, but I started thinking, I don't want to do this long term because I feel like it's a little disorganized for my taste and, out of order. And I don't know, it just seemed that was even going to be more difficult. And I was looking for something that would maybe make things simpler, not, more difficult for me. So that is when I started looking into Beautiful Feet books, probably in February or March. And so I had decided, okay, that's what I'm going to go with. Well, then on a Facebook homeschool group, somebody had asked a question about Simply Charlotte Mason homeschooling. And so I'm like, I've never really looked into that for history. I've used their handwriting for a couple different levels, but I had never looked into their history at all. So I started doing that, and then I saw that every grade can be combined, and they go from first grade all the way through 12th grade. Which that's the issue I had with Beautiful Feet books is it didn't seem like there would be enough history guides through their curriculum to get us all the way through, 12th grade. And also they have like primary grades and intermediate and high school. So I was still going to be needing to use multiple guides for my kids throughout the schooling years. Now I realize, the older your kids get, the more independent they should be. So I thought, well, we'll just cross that bridge when we get to it. But when it came across the Simply Charlotte Mason way of having they have 6 different guides for their history. And so you cycle through them. Like, I guess if your child starts in first grade, they're going to cycle through each guide twice. So that seemed more kind of in line with what I was looking for, just being able to use something all the way through and combine all of my kids. And so with Simply Charlotte Mason, they have, obviously the older the child is, the more difficult their assignments and the more work's required out of them. So Simply Charlotte Mason is set up like that as well. But you can still do your family learning together. And that is what I was really interested in doing. That's what I really wanted. So ultimately, that is what I decided to go with, which is funny because I had already started purchasing Beautiful Feet books. I was going to do their Early American History and their Around the World with Picture books, Part 1. So I had already started gathering the books for that. So, which, I felt like, oh no, I wasted money, but I didn't. Some of the books actually are going to be used with Simply Charlotte Mason as well. And plus I was able to resell them on a Facebook buy sell group for Beautiful Feet books. So all in all, that's where we're headed. We've really loved Heart of Dakota this whole time. I love their book choices. I love that it's Christ-centered and it's all planned out and laid out for you. But like I said, I just couldn't do the separate guide for each student anymore. And I know you can combine, each guide is for an age range, like, 6 to 8 and 7 to 9 and, something like that. About 3 years for each guide, I guess. And so I know you could combine, but it just seemed like it was going to complicate things. And like I said, each guide is very full. There's a lot of reading, a lot of books for each level, which is wonderful. But at the same time, especially if you have if you have a large family, it makes it pretty difficult. And I just felt the need to simplify this year especially. I was just starting to feel so stressed out and overloaded and like I'm just doing this stuff to check off the box. I'm not doing it because there's any kind of joy or interest anymore. And I just really didn't want that for our homeschool. That's not the reason we homeschool. We're not trying to like overload and read every single thing we can get our hands on. I mean, when my kids get older, they will be able to do that, if they choose. And my oldest daughter, she's definitely an avid reader so far, so she's kind of surpassing the books I can give her right now. I'm just having trouble keeping up with her. But so we're going with Simply Charlotte Mason, I guess. Yeah, that's my update. I will make a separate video showing the guide I chose, the history guide for Simply Charlotte Mason, because like I said, they have 6 different years. I can hear my kids talking to me. They say, "Hey, Mama's on the front porch." But They have 3 guides for ancient history. They study ancient Egypt, and then Greece, and then Rome, I think is the order. And then there's a medieval guide, and early modern, and modern. And since my kids are young, the oldest will be 4th grade. This coming year we'll have 4th grade, 2nd grade, 1st grade, and then my little boy, we'll be doing some light preschool work with him. But his attention span is a little shorter, so he like starts out sitting with us and listening to reading, but it doesn't really last very long yet. But those are our coming grades for this year. But anyway, we're going to be doing the early and modern, just because go back in there. I'll be right back. Because that's what we were already used to studying, and we already had books for that. So I thought, I'll save some money by using things that we already have on hand. And that's a really interesting time period anyway. So we're going to use the early modern, and their guides cover history, geography, and Bible, like all together. So I thought that was great. So we could, all 3 of those subjects can be completed for all of my kids at the same time. And then obviously we'll be keeping language arts and math separated. And we're going to do science together this year as well. But I will be making another video just to show the different books we'll be using for each subject, and show a kind of a new curriculum video, I guess. But I don't know, I never thought I'd be stepping away from Heart of Dakota. I had it planned out, all the way through graduation for all of my kids. But, things change, life changes, and especially when your family size starts growing and you have, different family dynamics starting. I'm sorry I keep looking around. I'm outside, like I said, to try to get some peace and quiet, which didn't really work. But now I'm seeing spiders, and I'm hearing birds and squirrels, and just kind of getting distracted. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I want to encourage you to, I felt tethered to my curriculum. I just thought oh, it's like I'm a defector if I quit it or whatever. But really, you need to use your curriculum to serve you and your family. And if it's not helping you, if it's making you lose your joy, or causing you stress instead of, fun and learning, find something that works better for you. Don't be afraid to change, and even if it's keeping that curriculum but just adapting it to work better for you and your kids, do that. Don't be afraid. Pray about it, of course. But like I said, we prayed about it, and I just got peace from the Lord that it's okay to change, and I need to do what's going to be best for my kids, and what's going to be best for our family. So that is where we're at. We're saying farewell to Heart of Dakota, at least for now. I don't really see us going back in the future, most likely, but I can't say for sure we'll stick with Simply Charlotte Mason, because I haven't done it yet. But, once we know and have a better feel of it, maybe I'll get a better idea of what the future looks like. But it's 1 year at a time, and you do what you need to do to educate your children and keep your sanity at the same time. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and keep an eye out for that new curriculum haul video. And I guess it's not really a curriculum haul, but I'll just be laying out and showing you everything that we're going to be using this coming school year. So I hope you have a wonderful day, and goodbye. God bless.